Some traditional medicine practitioners in Limpopo have expressed concern over what they call rapid extinction of some trees crucial to their practice. They believe that climate change and new weather patterns across the globe are taking their toll on the ecosystem. Dr. Khangwelo Musetsho, environmental scientist and postdoctoral fellow at UNISA, joins us now for this conversation. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Let's just start with the baseline of perhaps understanding how many plants are actually used, plant species, plant life that is pivotal to this kind of traditional healing, and what's environmentally viable given climate change.
Good evening, Tebiso and the viewers. You're asking a very general question there about these practitioners, traditionally known as traditional healers in some quarters, and how they use plants and related products in their practices. Plants are quite important in their practices, and this has been going on for many years, and they've passed this knowledge from one generation to the other. Plants or plant species have always been central or critical to their trades, if that is what you're asking.
Okay, so I was asking about the number of plant species. I'm sure there are quite a few, and just given the climatic changes, maybe understanding what used to be available, what was easily viable, and what is not now.
Oh, okay, excellent. Honestly speaking, from a scientific point of view, we are still studying and discovering new plant species as we speak. But literature tells us that quite a number of plant species have been used, and traditional healers or practitioners have been using these plant species. But unfortunately, due to climate change, which is no longer in dispute these days, a lot of these plant species are going extinct. And a lot of institutions such as the South African National Biodiversity Institute, the United Nations Environmental Programme, including the World Health Organization, have also confirmed that a number of plant species that these practitioners rely on for their trades are indeed disappearing due to climate change.
And South Africa, how are we dealing with that? And I'd also like to hear how you get traditional healers involved, the civic education that goes into teaching the people around the surrounds on how to mitigate these factors.
Yeah, I must be honest in saying that from an awareness point of view, these practitioners are the one with that knowledge, sometimes called indigenous knowledge, that they've been passing from one generation to the other. They are the ones that have been creating awareness about some of the plant species that are extincting. But unfortunately, a combination of various factors are contributing to the challenges that they are even raising now. I will give an example of proper land use planning that is encroaching into ecosystems or areas where some of the plants that they rely on are found. Unfortunately, we are not at a stage where we used to do things previously where certain areas would be protected or conserved, but because of unplanned development activities or human activities, most of the habitats where these plants are found are disappearing. And it is the responsibility of almost everybody, I think, in society to raise alarm around these things, more so that these practitioners are raising concerns around extinction of these plant species.
Altering pathogen evolution and host, I believe that is something that is a problem that's currently being faced within the environment. Can you just explain a little bit more about this?
Okay, excellent. That's a very good question. You're talking about phenological changes. I'll give it in a very simple way. The timing of life cycle events such as flowering and fruition can change due to climate change. This can affect the availability of the active medical compounds as the concentration of these compounds can vary with the plant's phenological stages. Because of what I just explained now, a lot of plants are now affected by pests and diseases, which makes them not able to give these practitioners the elements that they need from these plants. Unfortunately, there are also global shifts or movements of plants from certain areas to other areas where they follow climatic conditions or weather conditions. Some of these traditional healers or practitioners are no longer able to access them. But specifically, the changes in the biochemical composition of medicinal plants can be altered by changes in temperature, carbon dioxide, and water availability. And that is where the main challenge is.
I think I was listening to, if I'm saying it correctly, an aerobiologist the other day that was talking about how, people, particularly with allergies, are facing a new species that ordinarily wouldn't be in South Africa, and that's forcing pollen to be in the air. And I'm just wondering, when you were talking about indigenous knowledge systems, surely in the past people had ways of dealing with new foreign or alien plants or species. So if those that are in the environment now are poisoning what's been there before, how do you go about it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, Tepiso. I will specifically tell you that there is a decrease in plant population. There is also an erosion of indigenous knowledge, because not only do we lose certain plant species where we are or where these practitioners are, but the introduction of new ones that they may not be used to. You are very right in saying that. Unfortunately, that is what is happening currently. And it also leads to the loss of that knowledge that they have. And it boils down to the need for continuous research and awareness raising around these issues, because it's becoming newer challenges. As the disappearance of certain species takes place, there are new ones that are coming into the picture. And that knowledge of the new ones is needed through a lot of research and continuous use and trial and error methods and stuff like that. I think that is the only way that we can get to the bottom of this issue.
I hope we do get to talk to you soon to understand a little bit more about this. Dr. Khangwelo Musetsho, environmental scientist and postdoctoral fellow at UNISA.